Make a friend.
Make a friend.
Make a friend.
To me, I think making friends is including everyone, being nice to everyone, and not leaving anybody out.
Make a friend. A good friend is someone who treats everyone equally and only judges them by the inside.
You can have different people liking or playing with you.
All my friends do that, and that's what I really like about them.
It's not okay to judge before you actually meet someone and get to know them.
Usually if you're patient enough, there's not much you can accomplish that a regular person can.
Well, everyone knows his name. Everyone says hi to him in the hallway.
Make a friend.
You see them in the hallway and they're always smiling, and they're really, I think, special to us because they're always just so sweet and playful, and you can do anything with them.
This is Jay, and he was born with Down syndrome. But that doesn't stop him from reaching his full potential. In this video, you will see how children with Down syndrome, or anyone with Down syndrome, can participate in everyday activities and have many friends and family to support them. People with Down syndrome are no different than anyone else. They just have a bit more sugar in them.
I think it's such a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful characteristic more than anything else that these children or individuals or adults have. And I definitely think they're special. I think they are so special in a different way. I find that with all the kids that I have, I love them all. And with a child with Down syndrome, you just kind of fall in love with them and you keep falling.
So Down syndrome, with genetics, it's like following a recipe. So all of us have recipes built inside of us. So let's pretend we're baking cookies. So for a batch of cookies, you need, say, a cup of flour, half a cup of sugar. With kids with Down syndrome, what they have is they have a slightly different recipe. So instead of, say, that half a cup of sugar, they'll have 3/4 cup of sugar.
So a little bit more sugar.
A little bit extra. And that extra chromosome or that extra 1/4 cup of sugar is what makes them different. It's what makes them special.
It's not a bad path. It's just a different path, and you learn to have more patience with children with special needs. And you know what? You end up loving them more than you would another child. I mean, it's unbelievable because it takes them so much more to accomplish something that a generic child can do. It takes a person with Down syndrome that much more to get to that level. But when they do, it's an amazing feeling.
District School Board. And in the past I've worked with Jay. I was his JK/SK teacher. Currently he's a little bit older, so I don't have him anymore. But I do have another student in my classroom who's in senior kindergarten, and he's been with me for the past 2 years, and his name is Luca. And Luca, he's a very outgoing, a very social child. He loves to get along and play with his peers, and also he gets along great with the adults in the classroom and the other teachers in the school. And I feel that working with Jay and Luca as well, I've just grown so much professionally. I've learned so many new strategies that I can use with them and what kind of accommodations I can do in the classroom. And as well, I've also learned about the different resources that our school board has to offer to students who do have Down syndrome or other needs as well in the school. For example, I'm using a computerized system on the iPad called Prologue to Go. And with this computerized system on the iPad, he's able to punch and type in words, and he can press a button that can then verbalize out loud what he has just typed out, so that he can verbalize and express himself and his needs, which is great.
Jay interact with other students?
He interacts with students like everyone else. He has tons of friends. He's probably one of the most popular kids in the school. Everyone knows his name. Everyone says hi to him in the hallways. He plays with them. He does work with them. He gets into fights with them. He laughs with them. They have jokes together. He pretty much interacts like every other student.
Grace is kind of like a rock star at her school, actually. She knows everyone's name and everyone knows her, and she gets along well. And so yeah, people aren't really afraid of her. She's...
We like to play tag.
Yeah, it's probably your favorite game. What else do you guys like?
Hide and seek.
Hide and seek? Yeah, I've heard he's really good at it. Yeah?
And we play hide and seek.
We ever playing hide and seek? Alright, that's
and
fun.
And Jay always won.
So,
yeah.
How do you allow kids with Down syndrome to achieve their fullest potential?
In my classroom, I don't create differences. I don't treat them differently than anyone else. I don't create any boundaries. I have the same expectations for them as I do for everyone else. So I expect them to work their hardest. I expect them to try their best. I expect them to achieve goals just like every other student. I recognize that they have certain needs and I try to give them the tools they need to succeed. I include them in everything so that they feel part of the class. And I also make sure that they know that they can do it and they are capable of achieving anything they want. I help them build confidence so that
when you have children with Down syndrome, it's all about the moment and it's all about love and family, and that's the bottom line. Like presents and gifts and all those things that make the world shallow are just not important to him. And I think that that's what's so important for kids with Down syndrome. They could show the world so many more things other than the superficial things like, you know, video games and all these toys and Xboxes. That stuff, it's important, but the bottom line is if you're with each other and you're playing a game, that to them is what's important.
So we know that Luca has a lot of friends in the school, but we were just wondering, are there any sort of instances that you've seen as a teacher and that you've observed where he's sort of been treated a little bit differently or maybe like sort of in a negative manner?
Well, currently I'm teaching junior, senior kindergarten, and I've found with this grade that the children treat him exactly like how they treat everybody else. I find that at this age they don't really recognize that he has some differences. So I'd have to say they do treat him just like all the other students.
I'd say overall Jay is treated very well. He's very well liked in the classroom. He's respected by everyone. At the beginning of the year I did have a couple of concerns. Students that didn't know him and that weren't in his classroom last year and that may not have played with him last year didn't really know what his needs were. And you know, when he started sharing his ideas because of his speech challenges, I did hear a few laughs, and I don't think they were directed, I don't think they were negative. It's just maybe they thought that he was being silly or whatever, that he was just speaking funny. They thought he was funny, but I think that as children learn and grow and learn more about Down syndrome, that overall it's a positive experience for everyone and that he's well accepted by all.
Well, I think Down syndrome is I think it's something that all people can see. It's evident with children with Down syndrome. So right from the beginning, people can see that they're special kids. And I think that my idea that I want my son to project is that we're all human beings and we should all be treated equally. And I think that not only does he learn from other children, but I think a lot of children learn more from him.
Share about Special Olympics.
Special Olympics, I got involved and I got my son involved. There just wasn't, the sports weren't out there. You can get involved with sports with generic kids if you choose that path, but with the Special Olympics you're dealing with all kids with learning disabilities, with special needs, and they get to interact and you get to interact with parents also, and the kids get to interact with each other and grow friendships with these kids that are in the programs. So Special Olympics for me, I think, is a great path to get your kids involved with.
Playing basketball with Jay probably that was fun. He's a lot better than I expected, and tactically, yeah. You guys like seeing him smile when we play Ring Around the Rosy. He's always having so much fun. And we also do football together and we all do announcements together. And it's kind of fun. And I think JJ really enjoys it. People with Down syndrome, no people, the only thing that is different about them is that they've got my nothing, like nothing other than that.
You don't limit the capabilities of a child, any disability, not just Down syndrome, but any disability. A lot of people see a kid with a disability and think like, they won't go very far, but and I can't say that I haven't been at times in like, oh my God, am I getting anywhere? Because there are moments where I'm like, am I getting anywhere? And then I'll just have this day with Jay and I'll be like, I think he knows way more than I even think he knows, so I think it's more just reminding yourself, like, he really is capable. Like, I think of Jay in the future and I think, you know what, he'll be, I don't know how far he'll go education-wise, because it all depends on what he wants to do, too. Like, but I do think, like, I definitely think he'll get married. I think I could see him living out on his own. I see a lot of independence.
I think that if you know somebody with Down syndrome, just treat them as a really special friend because they're no different than anybody else you know. One of us is, I don't think anybody realizes that it's really nice. This is really important since we're all the things. Maybe like I can't do my favorite, but he's like my role model. He's like my best friend role model. He always tells me to do the right thing. And I guess like this.